Hey, I wanted to make a video. I just wanted to do a video of Cobra Kai. Finally watching the 6th season about a week ago. And, like all the other seasons, as recently being released, or, well, not in this case, but in other seasons before where I was able to follow when it would be out. I practically had binge watched a lot of the episodes, and for this one it's no different. It's been a period of time in between season 5 and 6, and there was like almost a 2 year period, and then I didn't notice when it came out. I knew that they would have another season. I wasn't sure when it came out, and I found out it already did. It came out in different parts, 3 different parts. I forget when it began. The first part, I think it was September, and then the third part came out February this year. I don't want to cover a lot of the details. It's a lot, but just in general, I think that the season itself having picked up on the tournament, we had a conflict of interest, and there was more progress between rivals. You have seen that with Miguel and Robbie. You saw Tori and Sam. They're not having problems with each other. And you have also, the main characters, right, from the Karate Kid. You have Daniel LaRusso. Well, he was going through stuff from what he didn't know about his old sensei, his late sensei. But I think that with those in itself, it was really full circle. The only issue, I guess, of the show, right, it almost seemed repetitive. But I enjoyed watching the show. I remember when it was, I think, out recently, where it was still on YouTube. I was watching the first 2 episodes, but they were previews. They didn't count. To where you will have to pay the streaming service on YouTube, which I'm completely against. Only because, as I was just trying to think about earlier how to go about this video. I was a kid, and in my adolescence, when YouTube was started and where I was around it. And I remember old school YouTube. It was very different, right? So, I would see. Well, I'm also pretty old now, right? When I'm talking about this, but I still remember, and I grew up at the time where YouTube was like a public domain, and what I mean by that is, it was practically free. Anyone can use it. I don't know if you had to sign in to have an account at the time, but you had no ads. There were no ads that you would have to, watch some of it and then, skip or click. And it used to be 1 ad per video. Then it became 2 ads. And I don't know if there's even three ads. And now it's like after several minutes in between the same video, there's another ad. I can't tell. But that was, very different back then. You had specific channels that had the music videos, and this was before celebrities were coming over to this platform. And we're not talking about all these celebrities or YouTubers like Logan Paul and I Show Speed and Kai. They're not the original players. They were not the original YouTubers. They were the ones that I grew up, I would say literally, were the godfathers for this whole platform. And then at the time when they had made their channels and stuff, it wasn't a big platform, an established platform as it is now. That's what I want to also explain. So that's why I was big again on not really wanting to subscribe to the subscription platform that YouTube had for that reason. I just was against it because it's like they made it very for profit. They just had ads, they had all the sponsorships, they have all the celebrities, they have all this. And then for after 2 episodes, I'm like, I can't do it. I'm sorry, because that's like I've grew up watching it when it was just free, when you didn't have to worry about ads, you didn't have to worry about any of this. So I just couldn't do it. But a year after, when I was in the military in active duty, I remember the show. I'm like, what is it? What is it? And then I was able to watch it on Netflix because at that point the show was actually canceled after season 2, but Netflix picked it up and then they were giving the green light for the show to go and finish all the way through. And I've watched the rest of the season 1 and then season 2. This was like, I think, in 2018, because I remember because it was like only like several months until season 3 was out, and I remember towards the end of 2020, I thought it was 2021, but it was in 2020, during the COVID pandemic, the first year of it, that I was seeing promotions for season 3. And that's where I saw season 3 in the beginning of 2021. Binge watched all of it. It was like within the first week it came out, I got to finish it, and then it was kind of like different periods of time that season 4 and 5 came out. But it was really a good show all around. There's not really much complaints other than it seems repetitive, but really it was more so of the plot, where how Johnny Lawrence opened back his dojo being called Cobra Kai, and then that in a sense opened old unfinished problems, because it was a chain of events that really triggered why Daniel LaRusso was trying to will make his own dojo for kids, and fears of his past experience, and then why Johnny Lawrence's old sensei came around, and then why he, after hints of flashbacks, would call back his old partner, and then his old partner had these old plans which was where the last 2 seasons were about as well. There was just these old past unfinished stuff, but it came around full circle. For me personally, it was a good show. I think season 6 kind of had a weird it was a tragic cliffhanger. It was weird how it was placed, and it felt like the third part, how it had to pick up from there. It felt like it was, in a sense, hit sideways, because the momentum for the story was kind of interrupted, and then how it kind of built up was just a little bit awkward. Some of these, I guess the whole point, right? Because everybody were caught up with the fights, and they were nice. The action, we just get so caught up with it. And then, really at some point, it has to stop. And I think that's the point. It's not always about winning. It's not always about fight for survival. It's not always about who's going to live and then the fight, survival of the fittest. You have to, go about your life and move on and then get through the next stuff. And it's not always the same approach and tactics. And I think that's what I learned, especially growing up and then watching this over the years in the military mostly. I remember some things in the past that I'm thankful not having affected me. I had a great year last year. I had a good year. I didn't get bothered. I didn't get, dealt with more drama. That wasn't that way in 2014. 2015 has been good too. There's only some stuff that I guess adulting, right? But that's not drama. That's not issues. So, these are good things. And, eventually I'm going to watch the Karate Kid movie, because I figured it will take place after this whole show. But I don't want to watch it just yet, And also have stuff that I need to continue focusing on that's coming around the corner again, particularly with my undergrad education that I had decided to continue a couple years ago. So, but that's the video I have, and I just hope that everyone enjoyed it. If you did, I appreciate if you just have nice comments, likes, whatever. And you guys have a great day.